Nepalese players continue to make the country proud in the international platform. Apart from her performances in the international leagues, star forward of Nepal's women's national football team, Sabitra Bhandari, popularly known as Samba, is set to become Nepal's first footballer to play in a league outside of Asia, as she has been signed by Israel Premier League outfit Hapoel Ra'anana AFC. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Parliamentary Committee holds discussions with victims on bills related to transitional justice. Victims express doubts, urge parties to take ownership. Preparations underway to appoint principals at community schools through open competition. Local bodies to shoulder the responsibility. Education quality expected to enhance. Private sector and parties in the ruling coalition themselves not satisfied with the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Pile pressure for amendments. Finance Minister dismisses such possibility. And Nepal loses its warm-up match ahead of the ICC One-Day International World Cup Global Qualifiers against UAE by 3 wickets. It has been 17 years since the government and the former Maoist rebels signed the peace accord. However, peace process has yet to conclude. The Parliament Committee has just begun discussions on the amendment bill related to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Commission of Investigation on Enforced Disappeared Persons. The committee has held discussions by including victims of insurgency era and concerned entities. The government had in fact made efforts to fast-track the amendment bill related to Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Commission of Investigation on Enforced Disappeared Persons. However, the bill was sent to the committee amid strong criticisms from the opposition. Works of peace process was said to be concluded within 6 months after peace accord. However, it took 7 years to form the TRC and the Commission of Investigation on Enforced Disappeared Persons alone. 63,000 complaints have been filed at TRC, while more than 3,000 have been registered at another commission. The committee has held discussions with the victims before amending the bill. However, victims are uncertain about justice being delivered. The subcommittee formed by the Law, Justice and Human Rights Committee of the Parliament has been making efforts to conclude the matter by considering the views of the victims. Leaders of the ruling alliance are convinced that the controversial issue will be concluded based on mutual agreement. Efforts were made to reach a conclusion regarding the issue by legal expert and non-parliamentarian Govinda Bandi, who was appointed minister during the previous term. However, progress was not achieved. Peace process has remained distant for 15 years amid polarization among political parties, which has dented the country's image among the international fraternity. The government, like previous ones, has invited flack for allocating budget disproportionately. Leaders in power have been alleged of allocating larger budgets for the election constituencies as Gorkha, the constituency of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Nuwakot of Finance Minister Prakash Sharan Mahat, and Dadilthura of Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Dewa has made it to the priority list of the government, while districts like Putan, Acham and Taplejung, among others, have been overshadowed. Of the 134 billion rupees received by the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure in the upcoming fiscal year, 5,175 million rupees has been allocated for the construction of an alternative highway. Almost half of this particular budget has been allocated for the 3 districts. Nuwakot is to receive 1,790,790,000 rupees. Gorkha is to receive 1,736,320,000 rupees and Dadilthura is to receive over 1 billion rupees. Meanwhile, remote regions have failed to make it to the priority list of the government. Salyan, home district of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Prakash Jwala, is to receive 300 million rupees. Putan is receiving a mere 25 million rupees, Taplejung 30 million, Acham 45 million, Jumla 60 million and Chitwan, which is Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal's former constituency, is receiving 30 million rupees. Likewise, Jhapa is to receive 66 million rupees. This uneven distribution of the budget has resulted in stern criticism against the government, as lawmakers at the House of Representatives have voiced their dissent against the proposed budget. President Ramchandra Paudel has been admitted at the Shahid Gangalal National Heart Centre for treatment. His condition, however, is reported to be normal. The president was admitted at the Shahid Gangalal National Heart Centre in Basbari, Kathmandu after reporting chest pain because of asthma and gastritis. As per the office of the president, he was taken to the hospital for regular health checkup and is undergoing treatment in the VIP ward of the hospital. A team of the hospital, including Director Dr. Chandramani Adhikari, is currently treating President Podal. Podal's tests were held at the same hospital on Saturday as well. Prior to this, Podal was taken to AIIMS Hospital in New Delhi of India for treatment after reporting of problems in his lungs last month. Now, the government has geared up to appoint principals at community schools from the local levels through open competition to enhance the academic standards of the institutions. It plans to encourage local levels to implement open competition in a bid to change the system of principals being appointed by the Education Development and Coordination Unit under the recommendation of School Management Committee. For instance, Surabinayak municipality in Bhaktapur had already implemented the system by appointing principals through open competition in 30 community schools, which inspired the government. There are 28,000 community schools across the country at the moment. Teachers and principals for primary level must have completed undergraduate level or possess certificates of equivalent academic courses. Meanwhile, principals of community schools say that the new provision must be implemented without displacing those existing and have contributed in this sector. Public representatives say that appointment of principals in community schools must be undertaken by the local government to improve their academic standard and management. In this context, in our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces what they think of the government's decision to appoint principals at community schools through open competition. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
प्रतिस्पर्धा गरेर प्रहर ल्याउनु धेरै राम्रो कुरा हो।
भिजन भएका व्यक्तिहरु आउने हुनाले प्रतिस्पर्धामै आएको राम्रो।
प्रतिस्पर्धामा आयो भने त दक्ष र योग्य पनि हुन्छ।
पद्धति सरकारले ल्याउँदैछ। यो चाहिँ स्वागतयोग्य छ।
प्रिन्सिपलमा कम्पिटिसन भइसकेपछि त एजुकेसनको लेभल अलिकति भएन अपग्रेड हुन्छ।
सरकारले गर्नु लागेको चाहिँ एकदम सराहनीय छ।
एकदमै राम्रो छ र यो चाहिँ कार्यान्वयनमा जानुपर्छ।
विद्यालयको शैक्षिक तथा प्रशासनिक सम्पूर्ण काम पनि त्यसले व्यवस्था गर्न सक्ने हुँदा यो चाहिँ अत्यन्त राम्रो काम छ।
राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप नभए त यसलाई सकारात्मक रूपमै लिन सकिन्छ।
व्यावहारिक रूपमा यसलाई काम प्रयोग ल्याउन सक्यो भने सबैभन्दा बढी उपयुक्त हुन्छ।
कार्यान्वयन गर्न सकेको खण्डमा चाहिँ उत्कृष्ट नै हुन्छ।
शिक्षामा चाहिँ एकदमै राम्रो गुणस्तरीय हुन्छ।
राजनीति पार्टीको झण्डा बोकेको छ, पार्टीको जुलुसमा गएको छ, त्यो चीजहरु चाहिँ हुनुहुन्न।
यसले चाहिँ शिक्षामा राम्रो सुधार आउँछ जस्तो लागिरहेछ।
कानुनी रूपले पनि यो व्यवस्था गर्नु भनेको विद्यालयको सुदृढीकरणको लागि सहज हुन्छ।
शिक्षाको गुणस्तर धेरै माथि पुगेर जान्छ।
क्षमता योग्यता बोकेकोले चाहिँ नेतृत्व गर्छ भन्ने कुराहरू यो प्रतिस्पर्धाबाट आउँछ।
खुला प्रतिस्पर्धा हुँदै गयो भने राम्रो मान्छेले स्थान पाउँछ।
यो जुन परिपाटी सुरुवात भयो भने नेपालका सरकारी विद्यालयहरूले गुणस्तर कायम गरेर भोलिका दिनमा अग्रता प्राप्त गर्न सक्दछन्।
Dissatisfaction among the private sector as well as lawmakers from the ruling alliance has grown regarding the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, piling pressure on Finance Minister Prakash Sharan Mahat for amendments. The Finance Minister, meanwhile, has clarified no amendments will be made to the budget. Ruling alliance lawmakers applauded the budget for the upcoming fiscal, which was made public on 29th of May, while lawmakers of the opposition had continued to criticize it. Private sector had been divided after the tax bill was made public later on the same day. As per the financial bill, concession is to be provided to those involved in commercial trading of mortgage and real estate. Likewise, if declaration of businesses that have yet to provide details of income and tax is done and up to 50% of payable amount to the government is paid, the remaining dues and interest will be rebated. Investors have become worried as various tax, including capital gains tax, is to be imposed. The Ministry for Finance has issued notice citing various taxes will not be imposed. However, the private sector has been demanding amendment of the bill. Likewise, the Finance Minister is under pressure to remove goods and services tax in wool and cotton, among other raw materials used to produce exportable items. Nepal Vanaspati Ghee Oil Association has also voiced against customs and goods and service tax imposed on imported raw materials. The association has demanded to scrap 10% customs tariff and 13% goods and services tax. Gold and silver traders too have been exerting pressure to the government to withdraw the 2% luxury tax imposed through budget. Experts, meanwhile, have suggested to address appropriate demands. The Kirat community in the eastern part of the country are celebrating Sakela Festival with much fanfare and fervour. The festival is celebrated twice a year. The first and the ongoing one is called Ubholi, that begins from the full moon day of the Nepalese month of Baisakh and is celebrated for 1 month. It's summer in Nepal, but the scorching sun has nothing on people of the Kirat community living in Udaipur's Chaudandi Gari in the eastern region. They are celebrating their festival, Sakela Ubholi. The festival lasts for 1 whole month, in which members of the community gather at a common place and dance to the sounds of local instruments.
The festival is very important for us, also from the perspective of preserving our culture and tradition.
The Sakela dance brings together Kirat people of all age and gender. Dressed up in their traditional attire, Kirat people share the joyous occasion with loved ones and take pride in their historic culture.
I really love Sakela. It's an age-old tradition and a special occasion to remember our ancestors. We dance as a tribute to them.
Apart from the capital Kathmandu, Sakela is mostly celebrated in Udaipur, Khotang, Bhojpur, Dhankuta, Sunsari, Morang and Ilam among others, where the presence of Kirat Rai community is dense. The start of Sakela Ubholi festival marks the beginning of summer and also of plantation season. A similar festival called Sakela Udholi is celebrated during the harvesting season, which generally begins on the full moon day of the Nepalese month of Mangsir. And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we'd asked you, why has public interest not grown towards eye donation? 15% voted for option A, technical complications, 55% for B, lack of awareness, and 30% for C, unwillingness of family members. And here's today's question. What do you term the dissatisfactions regarding the budget? Your options are A, political ploy, B, applying pressure on the government, and C, natural process. The voting is on. Type MEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Nepal has lost its warm-up match against UAE ahead of the ICC One-Day International World Cup qualifiers. UAE defeated Nepal by 3 wickets. In the match held in Zimbabwe's Old Hararians cricket ground, Nepal chose to bat, going all out for 276 runs in 49.5 overs. Nepali batters struggled with finishing. Opener Kushal Bhurtel and Asif Sheikh partnered for the first wicket, producing 87 runs. Bhurtel scored personal 43 runs and Asif contributed 52. When Arif Sheikh came in the 45th over, Nepal had accumulated 235 runs. Kushal Malla went out with 46 runs. UAE reached the target in its final ball. Rohan Mustafa was the highest scorer for UAE. Nepal will play its second warm-up match against Oman on Thursday, while its first match under the global qualifiers will be against host Zimbabwe on Sunday. Star forward of Nepal's women's national football team, Sabitra Bhandari, is to play in an Israeli league. Sabitra is to play from Hapoel Ranana AFC in the Israeli Premier League, the domestic top flight of Israel. Hapoel announced Sabitra's recruitment in their social media post. The Israeli Premier League falls under the European football governing body, UEFA. Winners of the league have been competing at European tournaments. Sabitra has now become the first Nepali footballer to play in any league outside of Asia. Prior to this, she had been playing for Gokulam Kerala FC in India. She had won the Indian League from 2 clubs, Gokulam and Setu FC. Gokulam had won the league last season with significant contributions from Sabitra, as she had scored 29 goals in 10 matches. Also the highest goal scorer for Nepal, Sabitra has scored 42 goals in 42 matches so far. And before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Parliamentary Committee holds discussions with victims on bills related to transitional justice. Victims express doubts, urge parties to take ownership. preparations underway to appoint principals at community schools through open competition. Local bodies to shoulder the responsibility. Education quality expected to enhance. Private sector and parties in the ruling coalition themselves not satisfied with the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Pile pressure for amendments. Finance Minister dismisses such possibility. And Nepal loses its warm-up match ahead of the ICC One-Day International World Cup qualifiers against UAE by 3 wickets. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.